Flip, 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 Flip Weekly.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt from flipweekly.com. You're listening to the Flip Weekly podcast. This is a podcast where we go to thrift stores, op shops, garage sales, Facebook Marketplace pickups, and we're trying to find items that we can make some money on. We're going to turn $5 into $100, but in this week, we're going to be turning like 20 into 1,000. Like fucking 50 into 500. Like, show me any other reseller that talks about their finds publicly, and I guarantee they don't score as many bangers as we do. I'm not kidding. Week in, week out, we seem to find ourselves in a position where we can turn just a couple of bucks into thousands of dollars. Like, that's exactly what happened this week. And we've ticked off a bucket list item. We've found some street sharks in the wild. We have, what else do we have? We have a television show with just 4 seasons that sells for over $250. There's only one listed on eBay right now, and that's $350 just for a TV show. We have something that sold in just 30 minutes that gave me like a 25 times return. And then we have $20 into $1,000 worth of books. Not even kidding. There is so much here, absolute insanity. Let's just get straight into it because I'm sweating. Feels like a summer day, and yet it's just turned spring. It's like 30 degrees today, and I just want to get into this and start sweating from all these op shop finds because there is so much to get through. Let's just jump straight in. So I was absolutely blessed by thrift store gods this week. Oh, without a doubt, maybe a bit of a doubt, best thrift week of all time. Stack up the finds with any other week, with any other reseller, unless they're finding gold in an op shop, which I don't look for because I don't really know what I'm looking for, but I swear it holds up, right? Like, I didn't find that 18 karat gold, but I did find some retro items. They're highly coveted to collectors, worth a lot of money, and they are an item that's been on my bucket list for like the entire time that I've been reselling. I've wanted to find these items in thrift stores or garage sales because it's my childhood. It honestly is my childhood. It's not just like a video game that I played once when I was a kid. No, this was something that I was obsessed with, and that is Street Sharks. Feels like a lot of Australian resellers, especially dudes, like have this sort of relationship with Street Sharks, and I think it's because we grew up with it. You know, it was an American animated show. It only ran for 3 seasons back in the mid-90s. Incredibly popular by dudes of my generation. And it was a show that was based around like these half dudes, half sharks, and they battled crime. They took on evil villains. It was created by Mattel, and like most of the things created by Mattel, it was created to promote the toy line. And I honestly ate this show up. I ate the toy line up. I ate the television show up. Like, I even have home videos of me getting these action figures for Christmas and birthdays. I've put an image in the Flip Weekly newsletter of me holding up Slamoo, one of the most popular characters from the television show. I received him as a kid, and I have the video. I'm not going to play the audio from it because it is highly embarrassing. It's me at 5 years old saying to Mum, look, it's me with some Slamoo. He goes smash, 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 and I'm smashing the ground with this dude's big ass fucking boxing gloves. And I haven't talked about this before, but when I was a kid, when I was 5 years old, probably from 3 to 5, most kids could speak. I could not really speak properly. I had such a bad speech impediment. I couldn't pronounce words. I couldn't say basically anything. The way that I said my family's names, I still cop shit for it to this day. You know, my sister Sam would be Ham. My older sister Crystal, I'm not kidding, would be He Who. Really embarrassing to even talk about. Had to go to speech therapy. The irony that I'm now talking on a podcast and I don't even think like I've gotten over it. You know, when you're sick and you need to take antibiotics and they always say like even if you feel better, you got to complete the script. I feel like that's what happened with me as a child when it comes to improving my speech. I got to a point where my family thought, oh yeah, that's about it. But I don't think I fully completed the script, and I still have trouble with some words. I don't know why. But anyway, the action figure that I have in that home video, Slam Moo, he is worth $200 now. I looked him up on eBay, and he is an insane figure to find. Unfortunately, I didn't find him in this thrift store when I found Street Sharks, but even the ones that I did find were extremely valuable. And I'll tell you why they're valuable, because back in the 90s, these weren't like Funko Pops. Funko Pops were created essentially to be collectible. They're going to end up in landfill in like 15 years, if not before that. Most collectors for Funko Pops don't even want to take them out of the box to play with them. They just sit on a shelf, collect dust, they do nothing. These Street Sharks back in the 90s, they were meant to be played with. They were meant to be like smashing the ground with their fucking fists by a 5-year-old kid that couldn't speak. And in 2025, they're honestly one of the hottest 90s toys that collectors are after, and the value has just gone up over time. So I walk into Savers and I'm doing the rounds. I'm going in and out of the aisles and I'm not spotting anything. I get to the grab bag section where the toys usually are, and I spot one figure. The figure's name is Man to Man. He looks like a stingray / human hybrid, and his story is basically that he was a scientist before he turned into this hybrid named Dr. Terrence Morton. And then one day this guy decided to stab himself in the neck with stingray DNA and what turned out to be raptor DNA. I don't know why. This guy just thought that he wanted to stab himself in the neck with fucking DNA. Like, okay. I don't know if that was ever explained. This guy was a junkie that just needed to get his fix. But he did that, and then he turned into like this stingray human hybrid. So I find that guy on the shelf, and I'm immediately drawn to it. I know exactly what it is. I've had this figure as a kid. I can see that he has a $6.99 price tag. He's in the grab bag by himself, and I know that he should be able to get at least $50 on Facebook Marketplace, because I see these pop up from time to time on Marketplace, and I always think, you know, that could be cool if I owned one of them. You know, take me back to my childhood. So I grab him off the shelf. I don't even bother looking up comps. I know that he's coming home with me. I know that he's worth more than what the price tag is. And you know, I would have been completely happy if I just found this one Street Shark. You know, I've only ever found one in the wild before at a garage sale. I found him for $1 and I sold him almost instantly for $50 on Facebook Marketplace. I would have been happy with just this one. I would have sent it through a photo to my family. They would have pretended to care what I was showing them, and then we would have moved on and I would have been able to talk about this cool Street Sharks item. But the thrift gods were generous. They were extremely fucking generous. I didn't just find this stingray junkie. I found another 5 in total. I was looking at the grab bags on the shelf. My eyes immediately went to Man, and then, you know, I picked him up and I could see immediately below, oh my God, there's another. I'm thinking like, I hope there's no kids around. I'm taking all of these off the shelf. I'm keeping them for myself. Now I'm going to name these characters for you. If you're familiar with Street Sharks, it might ring a bell. If you're not, I will tell you about them in a second. But I found Turbo Jab Hammerhead, T-Bone, Power Arm Ripster, Steel Jaw Jab, and Slobster. Now that is a cool fucking name, Slobster. The prices varied for them between $5 to $8 each, but no joke, I've always wanted to find this sort of shit. I've always sort of manifested, and this is proof that manifesting doesn't work, a huge box full of these old action figures at a garage sale and just taking them home with me. It was like a fever dream to me because I hadn't held these in my hand since I was a kid. So I find all 6, and you know, I could have kept them for myself, but my attitude towards collecting has really changed since starting Flip Weekly. So whilst I find them cool and I find them nostalgic and I love being able to hold these things in my hands, they're still going to go up for sale, right? Like, what am I going to do with 6 action figures on the shelf? They're just going to collect dust exactly like the Funko Pops. Would I be playing with them? Would I be smashing the ground? Will I be like having fights, taking them in the fucking bath and playing with them? That's not going to happen. So they would essentially end up just like Funko Pops. They'll just stay on my shelf. So what I need to do is I need to sell them, hopefully to somebody that's going to gift them to their kid so they can play with them how they were intended to be played with. I don't want them sitting on a fucking shelf collecting dust. It's not what they're meant for. So we have 6 in total. We spend $43, which is a lot for me at a thrift store. I'm usually only spending $1 or $2. And the listed value is in the hundreds. One of these figures is a home run. The rest are pretty average value, but I'm going to tell you about these. Manta Man, as I said, is worth $60. The dinosaur, I can't remember what his name was. What was it? Dino T-Bone or something? Dino T-Bone? T-Bone. He is actually from a different line called Extreme Dinosaurs. He must have been responsible for providing the raptor DNA to that other guy that injected himself. But he is only worth $30. So there isn't much room for profit if I put him on eBay. The other one was, what is it? He is the Hammerhead. Hammerhead Shark, he's worth 30. Then there's, oh fuck, I need to put these fucking names in front of me. What is there? Power Arm Ripster. He's worth $60. And then Slobster, the guy with the best fucking name, $50. So there's not that much value there until we have the home run figure. And the home run figure is one called Steel Jaw Jab. Now he has a button on the back of him. He has what looks like a mouth guard in. And when you press the back of him, the mouth guard sort of comes out of his mouth and opens up. That is a $300 figure. So that is a home run in terms of value. I only spent, like I said, if we average it at around $5 a figure, we have a really, really good home run here. I decided I'm going to list them up all together. I'm going to put them in a lot. I don't want to sell them individually because what will happen is I'll get left with the figures that nobody really wants. And the total value of all of those figures is $530. We spent $43. I was a bit surprised, to be honest, that some of the figures were selling for under $50. I honestly thought all Street Sharks were $50 and above. You know, I'm not complaining. It's just a surprise. And if you're wanting to know the basic identifiers for Street Sharks, it's this. One of two things. It's an action figure around 15 centimeters, and it looks like, you guessed it, half man and half shark. If you go on the Flip Weekly newsletter, you'll see photos for all of these guys. And the other thing is the marking on it. There's a copyright marking, usually on the back, just above the bum, like a tramp stamp. It says Streetwise Design. That is the company that made these Street Sharks, and it's on all of these except for the Extreme Dinosaur, who is a different company. So I was ecstatic to find these in a thrift store. I was so fucking happy. I was sending through the photos. I was excited to get home and look up the values. I was just over the moon. It was a bucket list item. I'm so happy. I wish I could have found Slamu, the one that was in the home video, but doesn't matter because, look, it's still a great haul. The day ends and a new one begins, as it does. And you start to think, you know, well, what about today? I had a great day yesterday, but it's a new day. What about today? So I start to think, I wonder if there's any more at Savers where I got these from. You know, usually when it comes to these sort of collections, you find one, you find two, you find three, you might be able to find more. So I decide to head back and I see the exact same staff there. I give them the exact same head nod. They're probably thinking, this guy comes in all the fucking time and buys nothing. Good to see him. I go back to where the Street Sharks were, and unfortunately I don't see anything. I don't see any action figures. I don't see any, you know, Street Sharks, Extreme Dinosaurs. And I'm thinking, well, of course not. There was already 6 of them. I bought them all out. But when I look a bit further down where the kids sort of toys are, when I say kids toys, Savers usually breaks their toys up into like baby toys and then young adult toys. And I found in a grab bag for $4.99 another Street Sharks piece of merchandise. It's not an action figure, but it is Street Sharks. And it's a lid from a Pizza Hut collectible cup, and it's just as sought after as the figures. So these were, I think, plastic or rubbery cup lids that went on top of plastic cups. You put a straw through its head and you drink your soda. They were released in 1995, 3 years after I was born. I never had these as a kid, maybe because we didn't ever go out to Pizza Hut. We were more of a Domino's family. And these were exclusive to Australia. And the cups and the lids can sell for a lot of money. Now, I'm pretty sure there's an advertisement for these floating around. I'll see if I can find it and play it for you, if it doesn't get taken down for copyright.
Shark attack!
Collect all 3 fantastic Street Shark cup toppers for $1.95 each, only from Pizza Hut.
Collect yours now for $1.95 each. I wish I could go back in time and collect all 3 for $1.95 each. I would buy them out of these things. I paid $4.99, so there's some inflation right there. And you know what I'm going to be asking for this on eBay? And to remind you, this is a lid. Okay? Let that sink in. This is a cup lid. I'm going to be asking for $99.95. Essentially $100 for this lid. There aren't many on eBay, and I can see 2 right now of different figures. One is at $124.95 plus postage with 22 people watching, and there's another one at the exact same price with 17 people watching. So people are going to be paying this much money for cup lids. It's just insanity. Street Sharks as a collectible is extremely valuable. If you find it anywhere, just buy it. Don't even bother comping up. You're going to want to put that in your cart straight away and head for the exit, because you're going to be making a lot of money. So when we add this $100 onto the other Street Sharks that I found, we're in the sixes for this, and we would have been spending like $50 if that. So we're turning $50 into $630. Tell me where else you can find those sort of returns. And you know what? That isn't even the biggest one for this podcast. I'm going to tell you what the biggest one was in a second, but first I want to tell you something else. I want to ruin your day. How many sleeps until fucking Christmas time? And there are 84 sleeps until Christmas. I'm sorry to tell you that. I know everyone hates to hear that. But look, they say Christmas is the time of giving, but right now I disagree, because right now Halloween is giving to me hard. Now, I wish I was filming this at the time, because when I saw this next item, the words that I said out loud were record worthy. So I'm in Savers and they have this curated shelf of Halloween merchandise. They have, generic Halloween socks. They have plastic skulls. They have a selection of horror movies. Most of it is worthless, but I found one thing that wasn't worthless. It was priced at $6.99, and do you know what it was? It was something that I've talked about before in terms of the category. This is a 1996 Goosebumps clock radio. What have I said about vintage Goosebumps in the past? It is so insanely collectible. I cannot believe this was just sitting on the shelf. And to be honest, I'm a bit disappointed that one of you didn't find it before me. It stands out like a sore fucking thumb, and this thing had 2 of them. It was the Goosebumps clock radio. It has 2 hands, what look to be coming out of a grave on top of it. And the features that this thing had were so fucking cool. Just imagine that you're back in 1996. I'm imagining you're the same age as me. You fall in love with Goosebumps as the series, and your parents gift you this item from a Scholastic catalog. You get it home, you're so excited because it isn't just a standard clock radio. It's motion activated with sound effects. It glows in the fucking dark. The two hands that are on top of this clock radio is where you can sit Goosebumps books. And when you take a book from between these hands, think of it as like two bookends, you'll hear what says on the box as hair-raising sound effects. And plus, you have the functionality of a fucking clock radio with an AM/FM radio and a feature that is described as with a built-in antenna. Like, you would have to be stoked to get this item. It was only $7, $6.99. I could tell as soon as I looked at it that it was vintage Goosebumps. It just has that aesthetic. If you want to see a photo, go on the Flip Weekly newsletter. This was just so fucking cool. I couldn't tell at the time if it worked, but you best believe I put that in my basket so fucking quickly. Now I get this thing home, I give it a bit of a clean, and I'm excited to check out comps. The comps are ranging from between $150 to $200 with only 2 listed on eBay, and both of them have an insane amount of people watching those items. So I open it up, there's a battery compartment in the back, and unfortunately it doesn't turn on. Well, it turns on. The radio is extremely staticky, even when the volume is down. I think something has gone wrong with it. There's a bit of corrosion in the battery terminal. So I think, well, there's 4 screws in the bottom, and we all know I'm an expert repairman. So I take the screws off, I pull off the top part of it, and I can see that the corrosion has fully disconnected the wire that is going to the battery terminal. It's just fully singed in half. Right? It's no longer connected. Despite being extremely handy and knowing what I'm doing when I'm looking at these electronics, I decide I can't fix it. I put it back on and I'm going to sell it as just a display item. And I mean, when you look at the box, it looks like it's meant to be used as bookends. So it would be a good display piece. It has the Goosebumps logo on the front. You know, the bottom part is where the clock radio is supposed to be. But these 2 hands on top of it, on the left side and the right side, they look really cool. Coming out of a grave, you can probably fit maybe 10 Goosebumps books in between them. Even if you can't get it to work on a Goosebumps shelf, the fact that it also glows in the dark, this is going to look amazing. And there's not that many out there anymore. I mean, 2 active listings, it's not going to come around. So I put it up for sale on eBay for $150 free post, $100 on Marketplace, and I just know for a fact this is going to sell quickly. It's going to sell for full price. I can take you back to the garage sale trail when I was with Sam, and she sold a Goosebumps Pizza Hut topper for $30 within... I've told this story so many times I cannot remember the amount of time it took her to sell this, but it was like 3 minutes or 4 minutes. She holds the record in my family for quickest sale ever. I still haven't beaten that yet, but who knows what will happen with this item. And I just say to you, I say this to you as a way to get you to look through every single section of the op shop, because back at the height of Goosebumps popularity, the Goosebumps lawyers were going nuts with licensing. The brand was everywhere, which means in every single part of a thrift store, this stuff can pop up. And I'm talking about lunch boxes, I'm talking about fucking bike helmets, bedding, towels, every single area of a thrift store that you may skip, there could be value there. I'm looking at some of these sold items. There's a Goosebumps lunchbox that sold for $258. There's a Goosebumps bicycle helmet that also sold for over $250. There's the fucking full-size blanket, like a twin blanket for a kid's bed, that sold in excess of $200. There's a bath towel. Just the towel. I can picture myself, I can manifest, it doesn't work, but I can picture myself finding a Goosebumps bathroom towel in that little bath section and selling it just like this person did for $200. This shit is everywhere. At the same time, it's also nowhere because it's so rare, but you need to be looking in all these different sections of thrift stores and op shops. if you overlook this stuff, then you're never going to be able to find these hidden gems. So you're missing out. I don't want you to miss out. I want you to find this shit. And I mean, this one that I found was out in the open, literally curated by staff members into the Halloween section. I cannot believe they didn't keep it. I cannot believe they didn't know what it was. It was literally just sitting there, like next to a witch's hat, next to like a skeleton. And as soon as I saw it, straight in the fucking trolley, and I'm just so glad that I was able to find it. And you best believe once I found that one item, I went through this entire store looking for more Goosebumps, more vintage Goosebumps. I looked in all those sections I told you about. I even looked in the books, and there were some Goosebumps books there, vintage Goosebumps. I didn't pick them up just because I'm not trying to complete a set and I'm not trying to sell, 10 Goosebumps books. But they're there to this day. Somebody else could go in there and buy them and make some money. I don't know why nobody has. There is money to be made there. For me personally, I can't really be fucked unless it's a huge bundle, but like a bundle of 10 you can make some money on. All I do when I'm looking at Goosebumps books now, if there's just like 5 to 10, I turn them on their side and I look to see if there's any bookmarks or any inserts within the book, because that would be cool, that would be unique, that would be able to sell and be able to make you more money than just what a book would. So those are two really cool finds. Those are two things that I would have loved to get as a kid for Christmas or birthday. But I want to move on to something that I wouldn't want to get as a kid for Christmas and birthdays, and that would be fucking clothes. You remember as a kid, you would get given clothes by your parents, you would be able to feel the present, and you'd just know it was clothes. You immediately just felt like shit. Well, I had the exact opposite feeling when I found this t-shirt. We found a concert t-shirt that somehow slipped through the cracks at a Lifeline op shop for $12. The t-shirt was from 2014, and it was around that time, well, it was that time that Kanye West toured Australia with his Yeezus tour, and this is a piece of his merchandise that has made it to the op shop and priced up at just $12. Whether or not the person was fed up with Kanye's antics and all the shit that he's going on about now, or they were just updating their wardrobe, it really doesn't matter, because we can make a lot of money with this find. The front of the t-shirt features the word Yeezus, underneath it a Grim Reaper coming out of a skull with Australian tour in red text at the bottom. It's a black t-shirt, and on the back of this t-shirt it has the Australian cities that Kanye visited. Why did it slip through the cracks? Maybe because it didn't say Kanye on the front. Nobody knew at Lifeline what Yeezus was, or maybe in their mind they just thought that concert t-shirts are only valuable if they're from the 80s or 90s, or going back from there to like the 70s or the 60s or the 50s or the 40s. I mean, we can keep going. Imagine a fucking t-shirt. Did they have concerts? Yeah, they did. They have concerts back then. I'm just thinking, like, did they have concerts in the 40s when everyone's going off to war? Or they just didn't have any, I don't know. Anyway, we don't have any exact comps for this t-shirt, but we do have similar ones. And the Kanye West Australian tour of 2014 has t-shirts that have sold for $135. There's one for $122. They have different designs. There was one that sold for $40, but that was, somebody had altered it themselves, so cut the sleeves off it, so that's obviously not going to sell for as much, but it is a sale. So seeing as the specific design that I had, the Grim Reaper coming out of the skull, it looks pretty fucking sick. I think it's going to be difficult to find online for anyone else. I'm going to try and get $150 for it, and it's already got a ton of watches on eBay and a lot of views, so I'm thinking it is going to sell. And the lesson here is obviously that concert t-shirts don't have to be 30 plus years old to be valuable. You can still get them to this day. You can still make money if they're somewhat recent. And I say somewhat recent. 2014 was 11 years ago. That's gone by in a fucking flash, right? So we have that. We have the t-shirt. We're going through Christmas. We get the first two items. We get some Goosebumps. We get some Street Sharks. We're happy. We get the clothes. We're bummed out. Here's something that a kid would be either 50-50 about for Christmas time. And they're books, but I mean, if the kids liked money, they would like these fucking books. This is an insane find. The best return of the week. Literally something that should have an entire podcast or entire Flip Weekly issue dedicated to it. Not just for like the crazy value that I'm about to tell you, but because eBay initially removed the listing due to bestiality. Now, you would have seen this if you follow me on Instagram, on instagram.com/flipweekly. Give me a follow. I've been sort of teeter-tottering between 999 and 1,000 followers there. I actually received a notification from Instagram the other day saying congratulations on reaching 1,000 followers. I took a little screenshot, I sent it through to my girl, and I was like, look at this, how fucking cool am I? And she goes to check it out, and I'm back down to 999. So that's nice and fun. I don't even think I'm back up to 1,000 yet. So, you know, if I would have gotten like a fucking balloon saying 1,000 followers, I would have felt like an idiot. But anyway, I received a email from eBay after I listed one of these items up, and it said, and I quote, "Your listing is for an item that features bestiality. We have determined that items that feature bestiality, including fictionalized or illustrated bestiality, are not appropriate for our site. Please do not relist this item." Now, that's an actual email I received from eBay, and it wasn't immediately after I listed this item up, so you can just imagine my surprise, my shock, how weirded out I was when I read this email, thinking, what the fuck did I list up that features bestiality? You know, I found a HR Puffin Stuff DVD this week, the full series. I'm thinking, are they thinking like HR Puffin Stuff has some bestiality in there? And then I'm thinking like, is HR Puffin Stuff an animal? I don't know. I'm pretty sure there's no fucking going on in that. But I don't know. Weird, right? But don't worry. It is nothing like that. There is no bestiality. This is just a mistake based on the name of one of these books that I found. So I'm at Savers, I'm at a different Savers this week, and I'm checking it all out. I'm checking out the regular sections that I go through. I'm finding nothing, and then it all comes back to the books. The books are what I look at last, and I'm in the science fiction and fantasy book area, and I find 4 books on the bottom shelf. They don't look like anything spectacular. I have no idea what they really are, what they're about, never heard of them before, but for whatever reason, the spines on the book stood out to me. Whether it was because it was by an author that I'd never heard of, or maybe I was able to see the cover slightly and it looked like a sort of graphic novel, or, you know, maybe subconsciously I wanted something like one of these books I'm about to tell you about. I don't know. I'm going to tell you the titles of these books. Actually, I'm going to tell you the title of the book that got taken down from eBay because of bestiality. It was called Fish Fuckers. Now, the book cover has a picture, an illustration of what looks to be some sort of superhero type person holding down a fish. I'm going to say they're battling each other. I'm not going to say anything else. And that's why it would have been taken down, because it's called Fish Fuckers. So they're not graphic novels. They're not comics, and they're not guides on how to catch, kiss, and release a fish. They're actually rule books on how to play a tabletop role-playing game called, and I hope I pronounce this right, Lamentations of the Flame Princess. All 4 of those books are from this sort of like tabletop role-playing game. So the books are called Fish Fuckers, Frostbitten and Mutilated, Vornheim, and Maze of the Blue Medusa. Again, I'm not expecting you to remember the name of these books. I'm just saying this for reference. So all 4 of them are rule books on the tabletop game. Think of it like Dungeons and Dragons, right? Except the rules and the scenarios are a bit more disturbing. They're a bit darker. They're a bit weirder, as you can imagine, based on the Fish Fuckers one. Now, I don't know much more about tabletop role-playing games, but we can gather that enough people buy these books as guides on how to play the game And each of these books, I'm imagining, is offering like a different sort of expansion or scenario or story, something like that, right? The books weren't badly priced. The total that I paid was $20, and the comps for these books are fucking crazy. But I mean, a bit of a tangent. The prices on these books, they weren't a standard $5 each. They were all over the place. Like one of them was $5.49. There was one that was $3.49. And there was like the prices were all over the place. They ended up adding up to exactly $20, but they weren't just like 5. You know, it just makes me wonder. And if anyone here actually works at Savers, is this like just random Savers pricing, or is there like some sort of hidden formula that the staff use for pricing? Like we know that a hardcover is usually priced up higher than like a paperback book, but do they also take into account like the number of pages, the thickness of a book, dust jacket, the width, the height? Fuck, I don't know. It's just weirdly intriguing to me, just based on the fact that all of these books would have all came in at the same time and presumably priced in succession. So I'm just thinking like, why is the odd pricing? But again, what's the bet that it's just random and no one's thinking that hard about it? But the reason these books are valuable and why I bought them is I came to learn that this company or this game, Lamentations of the Flame Princess, they're known for having limited runs of their books. So they have a big fan base, or a big enough fan base, and they don't make many copies of their books. I did some research into them and I found an old Reddit thread from several years ago, and fans at the time were worried because there was a article that went live saying new Lamentations of the Flame Princess book Fish Fuckers is available for today only. So that was like a press release or a blog post that this company put out saying that their book, this fish book that I found, was available for one day only. And you know, I don't know if that was true, but the top comment on that post was, I hope that available today only is the joke. And you know, when I look at the back of that Fish Fuckers book, I can see text that reads first printing 500 copies. So maybe it was true. Maybe they did only print out 500 and there was never a second printing. It seems like a really stupid business model, especially like if you have 5,000 fans and you're only printing 500 copies. I get that you're keeping the demand high, but you're really doing a disservice to the people that like to play your game, right? Regardless, let's take a look at some of these sold comps and let's see what we're dealing with here. So Maze of the Blue Medusa, one of these books, a hardcover book, there are sold comps for $215. Reminder, I paid $6. The book called Vaughnheim, which I paid $3.50 for, has sold comps for $110. Frostbitten and Mutilated, which I paid $5.49 for, has sold comps up to $94. Now, as for the fish book, no sold comps in the past 90 days, and it doesn't really surprise me because it was the book that was removed from eBay for that policy violation. So I bet most people that just list this up, they get the book taken down and they don't bother relisting it, and they just go somewhere else to sell it. But not me. What I did, I put a black bar over the word fuckers in the title of the post, and on every single page that I took a photo of, I just removed any sort of swear word or any sort of insinuation that a fish was being restrained against its will. So I relisted the book with all that stuff blurred out, and it stayed up. eBay Zero Mat 1, right? So I take a look around the internet, I go on Facebook, I see that there's a Lamentations of the Flame Princess Facebook group, and I decide to join it. You know, I really hate it when you join a group and it has like a questionnaire to see if you're going to be accepted into the group. You know, you have to bullshit your way like, oh yeah, I'm such a big fan. Like, I love fish fuckers. But I joined the group and I decided to post all of the books up for sale there. But that wasn't before I looked around the internet to see if there was any sort of pricing for fish fuckers. And the only thing I could see was these two random independent bookstores. And going off their pricing, I felt comfortable listing fish fuckers on eBay for $300. Yes, $300. This is such a small book too. I think it's the smallest one of the bundle. Not many pages in it at all. It's like 50 pages. And you know what? When I posted these books on that Facebook group with the photos, with the prices, I had people liking and commenting the post, and people were saying that's a great price for fishers. Not even kidding. And it's also funny that within the group, people don't call it fish fuckers, they call it fishers. So the total listed value of those 4 books that I spent a grand total of $20 on is almost at $1,000. The total listed value, $849.90. From 20 into 849. What other fucking reseller has these sort of returns? Please name them. I would love to watch their content, listen to their content. It still feels a bit surreal. Like, I feel like I'll feel better once 1 or 2 of these books sell, so that I know that it's not, a fucking pipe dream. But there are sold comps for these, except for the fish fuckers, but there are sold comps. So, I mean, there's the data there to back up the popularity of that tabletop game, but I still can't help but feel it's too good to be true. So let's keep an eye on this over the next few days, few weeks. Hopefully they sell quickly. I don't want eBay to wise up of my censorship on the book and have it taken down again, because then I'll just be left with Facebook, the Facebook group. I have got them on Facebook Marketplace, and the clicks are actually quite high, but so far no bites, but we will see. Now, the next item was also something that was a bit frustrating to look up. It's a DVD set. Now, this is the one that I opened with, and I told you if you can find all 4 seasons of this TV show, you can list it up like one other person has for $350. Now, I found 2 seasons of this show, and this is why it's difficult to look things up about this show. It's called Home Movies. That's what the television show is. It's a Cartoon Network, Adult Swim animated show. And you know what? Here's a fun game for you to play. Type Home Movies into Google and see what comes up. I'm like at the thrift store. I'm trying to do like on the fly comp research, and the internet is just giving me fucking step-by-step instructions on how to record my own home movies. But when it comes to like these sort of situations, you need identifiers, and that's what I was able to use on eBay. It's an animated show on Cartoon Network, so we include that, and alas, we have some information. So I've never heard of this show before, but the synopsis is this. Brendan Small is a young kid who loves to make movies with his family's video camera. At the same time, he must put up with the adults in his life, his unintelligent soccer coach, and his divorced mother, Paula. Along with a group of friends, he acts out his fantasies in front of the camera. So that's a synopsis. I really hope those fantasies are fucking PG. But yeah, the show lasted for 4 seasons, and given I've never seen it before, it stood out like a sore thumb on the thrift store shelves. So we have 2 seasons of the show for $4.99 each, and given it's completely out of print, we're in for a decent payday. Now, I really wish that I found the other 2 seasons. There was none there when I looked, but we have a sold comp for this show for seasons 1 to 4 for $252. There is only one active listing for the complete series, seasons 1 to 4. It has 8 people watching it, and it's for $353. If somebody in Australia wants to buy that, they have to ship it from America. They have to pay $63 in postage, which makes this a $400 series. Nevertheless, I think we can get around $100 for the pair of these DVDs. So I have seasons 1, seasons 2, $10 I spent into $100. I mean, they're not the crazy returns that we've just seen before, but we can still turn 10 into 100, and that's what I like to do. But here's a tip for you when it comes to these DVDs. They came in a slipcase, and when they come with a slipcase, you want to advertise that in the title or in the description, or even in the photo that it has that slipcase, because collectors, for whatever reason, they value this slipcase, and it can really help your sell-through rate. Now, it might sound like a dumb tip, or it might sound like something that's obvious, but I'm not kidding. Make sure you do this. And if you find two DVDs that are exactly the same, one has a slipcase, one doesn't, buy the one with the slipcase. It'll be marked the same, but you'll be able to sell it for more. Now, just a few other things that I found this week that's going to flip for decent money. I'm not going to talk about them in too much detail. We found HR Puffin Stuff, the complete series. I always love finding that. It's nostalgic for me. I remember watching them as a kid on VHS. Found for $4. It sells all the time for at least $60. I found a book called The Magnum Companion, which is another game guide book. Found it for $6.50. It sells every day for $100. I've found it once before, so as soon as I saw this, I knew it was a $100 book. And this reinforces the idea that those game books, the tabletop role-playing game books, they seem to all be worth a lot of money. I think that it's because they're made by publishers, or they're published by companies that are independent, or they're indie, so they don't have the sort of publishing power that like a Penguin Books has, where they can pump out 100,000 copies of something. They're producing low numbers of copies, so they're harder to find, but they're worth more. I also found a Warhammer book, Soul Drinker's Redemption. Warhammer stood out. I found it for $6.50. It sells for $100 every single day. It was funny finding this, in the exact same savers where I found those insane books before, because this book I would usually be really happy with, like $6 into $100. But I have these 20 into $800 books, and I find this, I'm like, oh cool, I'll just add this onto my pile. Like it's fucking nothing. But yeah, that's another good one to find. You can always see the logo on the spine. I found a Sonic yearbook. It was only $3. It should sell for at least $50. I thought it was cool. I also found, I was talking shit about Funko Pops in this newsletter, but I found one from 2003, which is one of the first Funkos to be made. It was a wacky wobbler, and it's the Banana Splits, which I think is like a Hanna-Barbera figure. It was in the box. It sells for around $100 to $150, and I found that for $8. So I thought I'd take a gamble on that, just so I can say that I sold like an expensive Funko. I thought that could be a good title one day. But yeah, that's everything I think that I found this week. Some insane finds. I think if we add up all of that value, it's going to be like over $1,500. It might even be $2,000, and the amount that I spent would have been probably under $100. So I mean, these numbers are just off the top of my head, but I think we could say we spent like $100 and we're going to make at least $2,000 for it, providing my math is accurate. But don't come for me. So yeah, that's everything that I bought this week, and we'll just move on to what I sold. All right, so let's go through what we sold this week. Now, we're going to start off with a Polly Pocket. The sales are just rolling in. They're only going to increase as Christmas gets closer. The sale that I had was $10 into $150, and I swear to God, this Polly Pocket might have been the smallest one. It's a fairy garden locket, so it's actually a necklace, so it's a really tiny, maybe like 5 centimeter Polly Pocket that you wear around your neck. You can open it up, and there's a space there for a photo. You can actually put a miniature photo in there. It also came with the figure, so it was complete. The chain thing that came with the necklace had seen better days, and yet it still sold for $150. It's probably the most fucking expensive toy necklace ever sold on eBay. I don't know how you'd be able to put a photo inside of this thing. Like, it's so small. The shape is not just a plain circle or square either. It has little crevices, little bumps and shit. So who knows how that's going to work. Supposedly you can do it. But yeah, if you look on eBay for a Polly Pocket Fairy Garden Locket, you can actually buy one brand new from all the way back in the day, but you're going to have to outlay $500 for it. So Polly Pocket is just proving to be like a gold mine for me. I would have easily made my money back from these Polly Pockets that I bought. I had 2 bundles that I paid. I think the first one I paid $150 and the second I paid $250. So I spent, I guess, $400, and the total listed value out of all of that would have been like $4 or $5 grand. So I probably have maybe $3,000 worth of Polly Pockets left here. But you know, once Christmas rolls around, once those days start coming down, we will be selling a lot more of these, I think. But I sold some more on Facebook Marketplace. That one was on eBay. The next one was Facebook Marketplace, and I had a buyer reach out to me, and she was asking for like a bundle deal. You know, she actually asked up front if she could come around and have a look at all of them. I'm just thinking, like, man, firstly, you need to do better at protecting yourself on Facebook, because you do not invite yourself into a stranger's home on the internet, especially to someone like me, like a dodgy looking dude who has no business selling Polly Pockets. Like, you need to do better. Do not do this. You're going to get, it's trouble. And secondly, like, I'm not a store. I don't have a permanent display of Polly Pockets in my window. I'm just thinking, look at the photos, make a decision, and just buy them, right? You don't need to come around and look at them. So I relayed all of this to her, minus the part that said I could have been a fucking murderer, but she settled on 5 Polly Pockets. Now, when I list these items on Facebook Marketplace, I usually price them a bit below what I do on eBay. So obviously there's no fees on Marketplace, so the discount just takes that into account. So like if a Polly Pocket is $150 on eBay, I might bring it down to $130 on Marketplace. And, you know, the total Marketplace value of the 5 that she picked was $390. And I said to her she can have them for $300, which she accepted. And we moved forward. She paid a $150 deposit, and she's going to pay another $150 when she picks it up on Saturday, providing, of course, that she doesn't like invite herself into some other Marketplace home and, you know, never comes out. I am kidding, of course, but seriously, don't be going into strangers' homes. I am a hypocrite for saying that, because I was invited into a Facebook Marketplace person's home, but you know, I'm not like a chick on the internet. Just be careful out there. Facebook Marketplace is the Wild West, and you don't want to be going into people's homes. It's just creepy. It's just fucking creepy. Anyway, speaking of Marketplace, another sale from Marketplace, and it was a quick sale. Listed at 5:46 p.m. and sold by 6:23 p.m. We have the Goosebumps display clock. Now, like I said, it wasn't working. Not a problem. Within only a few minutes of it being live on Facebook, I received an $80 offer from somebody. They were asking if I'd take $80 because it didn't work. But when offers come in that quick, you need to stick to your guns. I told her, like, no, but if it's still available in a few days, she can have it for $80. And I knew within myself that this is priced to sell. It's not something that you see on Facebook Marketplace, and it's going to be gone within a few days. And I think she knew that too, because she quickly changed her mind. She took it for $100. She came round and she kept telling me about, like, this is for her partner. They're hoping they can get it to work. I really do hope they can get it to work. I do have my doubts though, just because of that corrosion, but maybe if they're a better repairman than me, I don't know if they could be, just based on how fucking good I am at it. Maybe they can get it to work. It's probably worth salvaging, because if you can get this to work, just think, the clock, the radio, the fucking hands that make a noise, motion activated hands, like, this would be so fucking cool. But yeah, if you find anything like this in a thrift store, garage sale, whatever, it's an immediate buy. Do not even bother comping it. It's going to make you money. Man, next thing, another fucking Facebook Marketplace buy, and it's $20 into $100. It took 7 months. I think when I bought this, the sell-through rate on eBay was good, which is why I bought it, but it's still taken 7 fucking months. It was these, the brand is called Fiskars, and they're paper edges and punches. Now, this is scrapbooking stuff. It's a whole set of like 40 of these things, and I mean, I don't really know too much about scrapbooking, except like you get a piece of paper and these scissors have patterns on them, and I guess you go around the paper with patterns. Like, I don't know why you would do that. I don't understand what scrapbooking really is, but somebody wanted this, and it was listed on eBay for $200 with free post, $100 on Marketplace. A huge difference there, just based on, I imagined the shipping on eBay was going to be a bitch for this, because I mean, it's fucking 40 pairs of scissors. Like, they're quite heavy, Fiskars is a good brand, and it's one of the reasons why I picked it up, because you can get this sort of scrapbooking shit from Kmart or Temu or one of those other junky websites, but the branding is what drew my eye. And if you can find a good brand in a thrift store and it is something big like this where it's like a bulk amount, then you should be able to sell it. Like, this did take 7 months, but we profited $80 from it, so I mean, we can't complain. Now, the next thing doesn't really sound like a good buy or a good sale. We turned $20 into $80. It was for 4 PlayStation 2 games, but I got those games from a huge marketplace pickup that I talked about a couple of weeks ago. It's the one where I was invited inside to the dude's home. And I snagged 39 games for $200, and the total listed value of those games were just under $1,000. And of that deal, I only have like 4 video game listings remain. So they were all fast sellers. One of the games that hasn't sold yet, it's the one that I really want to sell, is the Harry Potter collection on PlayStation 2, which is like the first 3 Harry Potter games on within one case. And that's a $219 game. It has a lot of people watching it, so it should sell soon, hopefully before Christmas time. But yeah, that's that deal doesn't sound that good in the sense at 20 into $80, but that entire deal really was a good pickup. You know, in that deal I also got like sealed Lego from back in the day that I paid $60 for, and it's worth $1,000. And then I also got the Monsters in My Pocket, which was like 30 into 500. So it was a good deal, all of this shit in total. But yeah, that's what I sold this week. I had a couple of other sales, but they're really small ones, sort of like the shit that I bought when I was first getting started that's been listed forever, and it's just slowly started to sell because I just like dropped my prices in half just to get them out the door. It's stuff that I don't pick up anymore, like fucking hats and stuff. Like there's a vintage Billy Bones Club hat, looks cool, but like it's out the door for $20. And there's just a couple of other things like that I'm not even going to bother talking about, because it's back when me had no fucking idea what I was doing, and I was just picking anything up. So yeah, we're not going to talk about that. But in terms of secondhand opinions for this week, last week I asked you if you've noticed garage sale prices being more in tune with eBay lately, and the winner of that poll was 50-50. It really depends on the sale, which makes sense. You know, it's a common sense answer. But look, if I go to garage sales this weekend, I know that's going to be in the front of my mind. So if I see some eBay style pricing at garage sales, I'm going to take some photos for you. Hopefully I don't get called out by another reseller while I'm there. But yeah, hopefully there's some good garage sales on. I haven't checked yet. They might start to get listed maybe tomorrow, and then I'll be able to decide whether or not I want to be checking them out. That's all I got for you this week. If you want more, check out the Flip Weekly newsletter, flipweekly.com. You can see photos from this week's podcast. Also, check out our social media platforms. I'm going to have some videos live today for you. I want to get past that 1,000 mark on Instagram, so give us a follow. Give us a like on YouTube if you're listening on YouTube. And please write a review on your podcast platform of choice. And just one more thing, I mentioned Christmas a lot in this week's episode, and it's because it's been on my mind, and I really want to do something special this year, not for myself but for you the listener, for you the subscriber of flipweekly.com. I've got a few ideas in mind, but we're going to see what I can pull out. We're going to have what I call Thristmas 2025. What that looks like, I can't tell you. I might not even fucking know, but we're going to do it. We're going to have Thristmas 2025. I don't think I'm saying that right. Thristmas. Like thrift store and Christmas joined together. See, I need to fucking complete my antibiotics. I can't fucking speak. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next week.
Flip, 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 flip.
Flip Weekly.